again to yet another episode of the Hotseat, your program brought to you by MNL, Next Generation Sports, and partnered by Gemcon, your consultants in construction. And today, I'm joined by a special guest all the way from Uganda, that is Memory Due, one of the coaches, women coaches around. Before we go into the program, let me welcome the coach. Memory, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mr. Mangwiro. Thank you so much. It's so good to be back home.
It's good to have you here, and we've been chasing you for a very long time. And today I'm very happy to have you on this program. Memo, Coach Memza. Tell us, who is Memory Due?
AKA Coach Memza. Memory Due is a passionate lady in sport, but grew up mostly in Gwanda, Bulawayo. Started my volleyball at Chavez High School, where I played for the school team, and then I played for Highlanders Volleyball Club, and several other clubs in Zimbabwe, but also studied sports science, and I'm currently a sports teacher in Uganda, but also a sports coach as well, a volleyball coach. So basically that is me, unless you want other details.
Yeah, that was the introduction from our guest today. My name is Thomas Mangwiro, and I'm sure this is going to be a very exciting conversation. So you said you started volleyball at school, primary or secondary school?
I started volleyball at secondary school. I like telling the story. I was rejected by the netball side, yet at primary I played netball very well. So I found myself at the volleyball court on a Monday, and on a Saturday I found myself at a volleyball match.
Okay, so from there, that's when it started.
That's when everything started.
But during that time, did you ever think or thought about coaching at some time in your career?
Not at all. I think that time it was all about playing. I was so young. It was all about sports. I don't remember actually when I thought about coaching, but here I am.
So then after school, you started playing for Highlanders?
Yes, I started playing for Highlanders. That was the first club when I was doing my A-levels at Foundation College.
But now there's no Highlanders for the ladies. What happened?
Sports goes through a lot, especially in our country, but I believe in other countries as well. So I believe one day we're going to have Highlanders volleyball, but right now we're so grateful that Highlanders men is back, and they're doing pretty well. So that's a stepping stone. Hopefully one of these days there'll be Highlanders ladies.
Did you at one time talk to the authorities to revive the ladies side?
We have tried, but it's a step-by-step thing. It's also because if you notice, largely most of the young girls are not really coming up for volleyball. Already if you compare the numbers for the men's teams and the women's teams, you'll find that there's already a few women's teams. So we are just hoping that we will be able maybe to look for a school to partner up with in Bulawayo that can be Highlanders ladies, but also look for personnel as well, and look for other resources that can help set up a ladies team for Highlanders.
So from your playing time, accolades you won during your playing time, and for which teams?
Wow. Funny enough, I didn't really win quite a lot of accolades. But I know in Bulawayo, when I was playing for Highlanders, we were the champions for some years. And then when Highlanders ladies was no longer in existence, when I played for Real Stars, we were almost the champions almost all the years. And then when I came to Harare, when I started playing for Sharks, I think we would be runners up. And then when we were Panthers, we would be runners up, as well as when we were JS, would be runners up. So I really have quite a lot of accolades. It's just that it's one of the things that is not really at the top of my head, especially as a player. Maybe if you ask me about the coaching accolades.
Is your heart not bleeding about all the teams you played for seem to be defunct?
My heart bleeds. My heart bleeds for volleyball. My heart bleeds for the girl child in sport. My heart bleeds for all the teams that are not in existence. My heart just bleeds all the time. But I'm still grateful that we're here today, meaning there's still some sport. When I'm back in Uganda, I watch a lot of Zimbabwean volleyball, so there's hope.
So you then went into coaching
Yes.
after playing.
Yes.
When was that?
I started coaching as an assistant coach when I was still at school, at NASC, that is, in 2007. That's when I started as an assistant coach.
2007?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about that in the second part of this episode. Well, viewers, that was Memory Due talking to us about her playing career, how it started and who she is. We are going away for a few seconds, and when we come back, we are going to talk about the coaching career of Memory Due. My name is Thomas Mangwiro, and this is your program, The Hot Seat, brought to you by MNL, Next Generation Sports, and partnered by GEMCON, your solution to construction and town planning. Welcome to the second part of this episode of the Hot Seat. This is an MNL production, Next Generation Sports, partnered by GEMCON, your solution to town planning and construction. My name is Thomas Mangwiro, and today I'm talking to Memory Due, aka Coach Memza. Yes, Coach. When we went away, we were talking about your coaching career. You said you started in 2007.
Yes, I was the assistant coach for the youth games. I wonder if the youth games still exist, but you'll tell me about that later. For Bulawayo province, I was assistant coach for Lindlela Jasper Moyo. And I think that year the games were in Wange. So that was my first experience as a coach.
And talking about Jasper, how has he influenced your career as a coach?
He's been so influential. He's one of those, I would say, after high school. Well, maybe at Highlanders there was other people before him, but mostly those people left, and it was just him as the coach there, him as someone who has taught me how to start my coaching career, and he's been one of the biggest role models to many people as a coach, and he's mentored quite a lot of players here in Zimbabwe, and especially in the Bulawayo or Matabeleland province, I would say.
So can we say he's the one who forced you to be a coach, or there was some inspiration behind you being a coach?
There was some inspiration. I mean, I was studying sports science.
Yes.
And coaching. It's actually called sports science and coaching, so there was some inspiration, but it's always good that if you're studying something, you have someone who helps you. I mean, if he was not there and I was just studying, I don't think I would have been the coach that I am today if he was not there, and many other people helped me. So definitely he's been one of those greats when it comes to someone who gave me that platform to be able to be the player that I was and to be able to be the coach that I am today.
Yes, Coach Jasper, if you are here, if you are watching this episode, she's grateful, the lady is grateful. So continue from being the assistant coach for the youth games.
Yes, and then at NAST, there was a time where Erasmus Mpukuta, I'm sure you know him, he was there as well, but when we left NAST, we were left with no coach. So I'll double up as a coach and as a player as well. And I must say that's when I started seeing that, coaching is hard, because then I had no experience at all. My only experience was the playing part. I'll just use what I was being taught in classes when it comes to the coaching aspect. And then after that, we went ahead when we did Panthers as well, and we're being coached by Maskiri, would also sort of like coach ourselves as well, because then we were a group of ladies who were mature, who had played volleyball for some time, so then it started being easy. And then I coached again the Bulawayo Youth Games, and this time I could tell the difference even in the way I coached. Yes. That was 2013, and then after that I did my level 1 coaching, and I approached engineer Mavima, and I asked him, I was like, I would love to assist you in coaching the University of Zimbabwe, which, it hardly ever happens. Most of the assistant coaches, the head coach actually approaches them.
Yes.
But I approached him. I was like, I'd love to assist you.
So that's how your career started, because many people besides the tertiary institutions started seeing you in professional volleyball at the University of Zimbabwe, UZ Wolves.
Yes, definitely. I think that's where I would say I started what I would say is the real coaching of volleyball, because there we are no longer just really talking to the players, you're literally coaching. You have to think for them, you have to strategize, you have to map training sessions, so that's where I would say I really started my coaching path.
And I want to believe that was the start of the most difficult part of coaching, and you were coaching men, and you were also in a team that had been achieving a lot of things. Did you not at one time consider quitting?
At some point I did, but I think one thing to note, I think when Mavema took up that team at that point in time, the ladies side is the one that had been really achieving a lot. So there was a lot of outcry regarding the men's team. So it was actually the biggest challenge to say, what are you going to do to match up the UZ Wolves ladies team that was really at their peak?
Okay. This is Coach Memory Due, Memza, talking to us about her volleyball career. And we have to go away for a few moments. And when we come back in the third and final segment, we want to hear about his story in the land of Uganda. Welcome back to the third and final segment of this episode of the Hotseat and MNL production, partnered by GEMCON. My name is Thomas Mangwiro, and today I am talking to Coach Memory Due. Coach, after the University of Zimbabwe, people heard that you were now in Uganda. What are you doing in volleyball in Uganda?
I think there's a need to mention that I went to Zambia first. I think you don't remember that, yes.
I'd forgotten that part. So you went to Zambia?
I went to Zambia first for like 2 years.
Okay.
Then
which teams?
It's in Zambia. I was with Chalube, if you know Coach John Maplanga, who's currently coaching a new team called Falcons. So I helped him coach Team Chalube for 2 seasons, which was as equally hard as coaching the university in Zimbabwe.
So then from Zambia you went to Uganda?
Yes, from Zambia that's when I went to Uganda. Was
it a volleyball transfer, or you were going for other things in Uganda when you left Zambia?
I was actually going to work, as you know, or I don't know, but I think you do know that I'm actually a sports teacher.
Yes.
So I was actually going to work, even in Zambia I was actually going to work, but I always have clubs then coming up to say, hey, we hear you are in the country, would you like to come and help us coach? So that's what happened in Zambia, and even in Uganda. When I went to work, that's how I ended up in the volleyball circles in Uganda.
So which teams in Uganda?
So in Uganda, I have the privilege of being the head coach of Kampala Amateur Volleyball Club, which is called KVC in Tom. It is the oldest volleyball club in Uganda. I think it should be 56 years old now.
Oh.
Yes.
So you went there as the head coach?
I went there as a PE teacher at Acacia International School, and then the KVC approached me and they asked me to be the head coach for the men's team.
So that was in which year?
I started coaching them in 2022. 2020, yes, because this season that just finished was my second season with them. I'm starting my 3rd season when the league starts in September.
So, how were you received at KAVC? As a woman, going there to coach a men's team?
So it's so funny how everything happened. So when we went to Egypt, the first depart that University of Zimbabwe made in Egypt in 2018, we stayed at the same hotel with this club, KAVC, and they were all being coached by a woman.
Okay.
Yes, they were being coached by a woman. So basically it means when I got there to coach them, it wasn't a surprise to be coached by a female. Maybe it was only a surprise to be coached by maybe someone who's a foreigner, but I was well received with love, and I feel at home when I'm at KVC.
Okay.
Yes.
And some of the accolades you have won with them.
My first season we were the bronze medalist for the National League, and this past season we are the silver medalists.
Okay.
And then for also we have tournaments like the national champions where we were also the bronze medalist as well.
So I think you charmed them a lot that you ended up being in their national team for the men.
Well, I don't know, maybe, there could be a lot of things. It could be the team's performance, there could be my personality, it could be quite a lot of things, but it's one opportunity that I'm also grateful for, that after I had coached a team and they did so well, and I was then invited or appointed rather to be one of the assistant coaches for the men's national team.
What are the similarities and differences between Uganda and Zimbabwe in terms of volleyball?
One of the things that I always tell the Ugandans when it comes to volleyball is that they're gifted, they're talented athletes.
Yes.
First of all, they've got the height. I'm sure you've seen most of them, they've got the height. Where Zimbabwe, we have passionate young men who will learn the sport, which makes us equally, as Zimbabweans, equally competitive. Whilst Uganda is talented, they've got the height and everything. So I would say those are the main differences. But in terms of gameplay, I think our volleyball it's almost the same. Maybe the countries in East Africa like Uganda might take advantage of the height and all, but our gameplay is almost the same.
What about in terms of administration and infrastructure?
In Uganda, we have some matches that we play outdoor, we have some matches that we play indoor, and I think in Zimbabwe we've got some matches that you play semi-indoor and outside, which for me is almost the same as well.
It's almost the same.
Almost the same. Whereas if you look at developed countries, they play volleyball, six-a-side is completely an indoor sport, So in terms of the development of the sports and facilities, I think both countries still lack a bit. However, in terms of the development when it comes to grassroots, I would say Ugandan schools have got a lot of kids that play volleyball in primary schools. As we speak, over the weekend, there was a competition for primary schools. But in terms of harnessing that development, Zimbabwe is better structured. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes.
I feel we've got a better structure, but that side I feel they've got a capacity rather.
Okay, so what are the few lessons we can learn from them? And what are the lessons they can learn from us?
I think I'll start with them. I think for them, the lessons is they should better structure these competitions. They should better structure maybe the executive.
Okay.
There should be links between those executives and they should be really out there. And then this side, I think we should take volleyball out there, because in Uganda I've seen remote schools even playing volleyball as compared to Zimbabwe.
Okay. That is the story from Memory Due, talking about volleyball here in Zimbabwe and in Uganda. We still have a lot to talk about, but our time is up there. And maybe lastly, Coach Memza, your last words to the viewers. I know you'll be catching a plane in a few days. What do you want to say to your peers back here?
I think let's keep the ball flying. Let's keep trying. Let's do what we can do. Let's stop complaining. Maybe at least if you're complaining, look at yourself and say, what change am I making? Because so many times we have people complaining, but you can't complain if you're not doing anything. So the starting base for me is I would encourage people to do something when it comes to volleyball. If you're passionate, do something. Find people to ask, what should I do? Get yourself in there and help to grow this sport.
Do you sometimes miss home when you are in Uganda?
The Ugandans are giving me so much love, but home is always home.
Thank you, Coach Memza, for gracing this show, and I'm sure we'll talk to you one of these days. And think we'll be upgrading very soon so we can have these interviews on Skype. So be sure that we'll call you again for another interview.
Thank you for having me.
This was another episode of the MNL, and partnered by Gemcon. We're talking to Coach Memory Dube, aka Coach Memza, and I think there's a lot we will talk about with her, and watch the space for another explosive program with the coach. My name is Thomas Mangwiro, and it is the end of this episode.